Welcome back to the channel, Valuable Coins HD, your ultimate source for discovering how ordinary pocket change can turn into extraordinary treasure. If you've ever emptied out your wallet or counted your coins and thought, it's just dimes, nothing special, then buckle up. Because today, we're about to explore a small silver coin with a giant secret. One that could be hiding in plain sight, worth more than a Lamborghini, a college degree, or even a down payment on your dream home. We're talking about the United States Roosevelt silver dime from 1975, with a mint mark. And trust me, this is not your average 10-cent coin. Now let's set the stage. The Roosevelt dime has been a part of American life for decades. First introduced in 1946, shortly after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's death, it was created not just as a currency, but as a tribute to a man who helped lead the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. Designed by John R. Sinnock, the dime features Roosevelt's left-facing profile on the obverse side, with the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the date. The reverse features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing peace and strength. Simple, elegant, and timeless. Since its release, the Roosevelt dime has been minted by the billions. But as with every coin, there are a few exceptions. A few secrets. A few that are unlike any others. And one of them comes from the year 1975. Now you might be thinking, 1975? That's not ancient. It's not a century-old coin. It's relatively modern. You might even remember using one, or have one sitting in your change drawer right now. So what makes the 1975 Roosevelt dime so special? To answer that, we have to look at two key things, the mint mark and the composition. First, let's talk about composition. Up until 1964, Roosevelt dimes were made of 90% silver. But starting in 1965, due to rising silver costs, the U.S. Mint began producing dimes using a clad composition, copper sandwiched between two layers of nickel. The silver was gone from circulation. However, proof dimes, specially struck for collectors, were still occasionally made in silver, especially in limited runs or special collector sets. And every once in a while, a coin is struck on the wrong planchet. That's where the mystery begins. In 1975, there was no Roosevelt dime made with a silver planchet intended for circulation. But there are reports, rare and shocking, of dimes that appear to have been struck on leftover silver blanks. A silver dime from 1975? It shouldn't exist. But it might. And that mystery is what drives collectors into a frenzy. Now, let's zoom in on the mint marks. In 1975, dimes were produced at two primary U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia, which at the time used no mint mark, and San Francisco, which used an S mint mark, primarily for proof coins. The Denver Mint also produced circulation strikes with a D mint mark. These tiny letters, found to the left of the torch on the reverse side of the dime, are more than just identifiers, they're clues, because here's the incredible part. In 1975, the U.S. Mint was preparing for a very special event, the nation's bicentennial. Most coins dated 1975 were being made with dies ready for 1976 bicentennial designs. However, dimes were not changed for the bicentennial. Still, the transition at the mint was hectic. Dies were being swapped. Commemorative designs were being prepared. And that kind of environment is fertile ground for errors, the kind that slip through unnoticed and make a coin unbelievably rare. There are a few documented 1975 Roosevelt dimes, specifically proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, that were accidentally struck without a mint mark. Now remember, every proof coin from San Francisco was supposed to have an S mint mark. So finding one without it? That's like discovering a ghost. These are known as the 1975 No-S Roosevelt proof dimes, and they are among the rarest modern American coins ever produced. Only two confirmed examples have ever surfaced. That's right, only two. Just imagine the odds of that. Out of millions of dimes minted, only a pair, just two coins, have ever been confirmed to be 1,975 proof dimes with no mint mark. And even better, they were struck in pristine condition, perfect proof quality, mirror-like finish, and razor-sharp detail. Now, let's talk about the buzz. When these no mint mark dimes first started to appear, collectors were stunned. At first, there was disbelief. Could this be a hoax? But after professional grading services confirmed their authenticity, the numismatic world lit up. Every collector, every dealer, every auction house began looking at their 1975 dimes a little differently, and this isn't just about the no mint mark proof coins. Some 1975 dimes show striking errors, planchet flaws, or were struck on incorrect metal blanks. Imagine a 1975 dime that was struck on a silver planchet meant for a 1964 coin. Or one that's slightly oversized because it was struck using the wrong die. These are the kinds of coins that send collectors into bidding wars. What's more, the condition of these coins matters more than almost anything else. Coins are graded on a scale of 1 to 70 by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A coin with a grade of PR 70 or MS 70 is considered perfect, flawless under magnification. Combine a high grade with a major minting error. That's when a coin transforms from collectible to priceless. So what should you do if you have a 1975 Roosevelt dime sitting in a jar or coin folder? First, check for the mint mark. If it's missing and the coin has a mirror-like proof finish, you may be looking at something incredibly rare. Second, check the weight. If it seems heavier or different, it could have been struck on a silver planchet. Lastly, look at the coin's overall condition. Even circulated coins with rare errors can be worth big money, but uncirculated or proof examples? That's when things get really serious. If you think you have something unusual, take it to a professional grading service. Don't clean it, just preserve it and have it authenticated. You could be sitting on a fortune and not even know it. This is the thrill of coin collecting. The mystery. The history. The chance to discover something that others have overlooked. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but knowing that the needle is worth more than most people's yearly salary. So now, let's answer the question you've been waiting for. Just how much could one of these 1975 Roosevelt dimes be worth? If it's a genuine, professionally graded proof strike with no mint mark, something that was never meant to leave the mint, an error so rare that only two are known to exist, what kind of price tag are we talking about? Well, brace yourself. One of these extraordinary dimes has been sold at auction for a staggering total of $300,000. Yes. You heard that right. A coin worth 10 cents. Sold for $300,000. All from a year you probably thought was just another number on a coin. Today's episode is something truly legendary. We're diving into one of the rarest and most mysterious dimes ever minted in American history. A coin so scarce, so shrouded in myth and controversy, that collectors have searched for it relentlessly for over a century. And yes, it might be small, but its story is massive. Today, we're uncovering the secrets of the 1894 Roosevelt silver dime. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this one tiny coin, barely larger than your fingernail, has become one of the most valuable and hunted artifacts in all of U.S. numismatics. Now, wait a second, you might be asking, Roosevelt? In 1894? That's a great question. And it opens up the mystery we're about to unravel. Let's go back in time. The year is 1894. Grover Cleveland is president. The American economy is in a severe depression. Railroads are collapsing. Banks are failing. It's a turbulent time, politically, socially, and economically. But amid all of this chaos, the U.S. Mint quietly produced a coin that would go on to become a legend. Except, it wasn't called the Roosevelt dime. Not YET. In 1894, the dime in circulation was part of the Barber series, named after its designer Charles E. Barber. This dime featured the head of Liberty wearing a Phrygian cap and laurel wreath on the obverse. On the reverse? A simple wreath encircling the denomination, 1 dime. So, what's the deal with the Roosevelt connection? We'll get to that. But first, we need to talk about what makes the 1894 dime, specifically those struck at the San Francisco Mint, so incredibly rare. Here's the shocking truth: only 24 dimes were ever minted at the San Francisco Mint in 1894. Not 24,000. Not 2.4 million. Just 24 coins. That's all. Why so few? That question has puzzled historians and collectors for generations. Some say it was a simple accounting necessity, just enough coins were minted to balance the books for the Mint's annual audit. Others whisper more sensational theories. One popular rumor says the Mint superintendent had the coin specially struck for banker friends and wealthy associates. Another legend claims that a few were given to the superintendent's daughter. Brace yourself, spent one of them on ice cream. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the 1894 dime exists, and it is one of the rarest coins in American history. Out of the 24 dimes believed to be minted, only 9 are confirmed to exist today. That's right, only 9. The rest? Lost to time. Melted down. Spent. Forgotten. Or perhaps still hiding in an attic, a jar, or tucked away in an old family coin collection. Let's pause here and bring the Roosevelt connection into focus. The Roosevelt dime, as we know it, was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away in 1945. The Roosevelt design replaced the Mercury dime and continues in circulation today. So how can we connect Roosevelt to a dime from 1894? Well, while the 1894 dime itself is technically a Barber dime, its legend has become so powerful, so mythological, that modern collectors often lump it in with other dime rarities, including those from the Roosevelt series. It has become part of the holy grail of silver U.S. dimes, whether Barber, Mercury, or Roosevelt, and here's where things get even more fascinating. A few examples of the 1894 Barber dime are so perfectly preserved that they appear almost untouched, proof-like in finish, sharp in detail, and near pristine in quality. Coins like these are where the real magic happens in numismatics. It's not just about the rarity. It's about condition, history, and mystery, all rolled into one small silver disc. Now imagine, for a moment, finding one of these dimes. You're sorting through an old family coin collection. You see a dime with a date, 1894. You look closer. There's an S mint mark just below the wreath on the reverse. Your heart starts pounding. Could it be? Could it be the 1894 dime that collectors have hunted for over a century? It has happened. Stories have emerged of this coin showing up in the most unexpected places. One was reportedly discovered in a junk drawer. Another found in a coin album from a grandparent's estate. And each time, when these dimes surface, they set off a wave of excitement in the collecting world. Let's talk about mint marks. In 1894, the San Francisco Mint used the letter S to signify its coins. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use any mark at the time. So if you see an 1894 dime with an S mint mark, you could be holding a coin rarer than gold, rarer than diamonds, even rarer than most ancient artifacts. But rarity alone isn't everything. Coin value is also determined by grade. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 60 or higher, mint state, is considered uncirculated. But a coin that is both rare and pristine? That's where astronomical values come into play. If your 1894 dime is authenticated, certified by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC, and it's in high-grade condition, then congratulations. You are the owner of one of the most sought-after pieces in American coinage history. So how do you protect a coin like this? First, never clean it. Never touch it with your bare fingers. Place it in a soft cloth or protective flip, and get it to a professional grader or numismatist immediately. This is the kind of coin that belongs in a museum, or a high-end private collection. Now, let's address something else collectors love: the chase. The thrill of the hunt. The possibility that, somewhere out there, one of the 15 missing 1894 dimes is waiting to be found. That's what keeps people checking their change, scouring estate sales, and going through old coin rolls. Because even though the odds are microscopic, someone has to find the next one. Why not you? This dime has become a symbol in the collecting world. A symbol of the ultimate discovery. A symbol of numismatic perfection. A coin so elusive that owning it instantly puts you in a league of elite collectors. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. We've explored the story, the rarity, the mystery, and the magic. We've talked mint marks, historical myths, and modern-day finds. But one question remains: how much is one of these legendary dimes worth? If you were to discover one of the original 1894 Barber dimes, especially in pristine, investment-grade condition, it wouldn't just make headlines. It wouldn't just spark global interest. It would change your life, because one of these coins has been sold for the jaw-dropping sum of $320,000. Yes. You heard that right. A dime. A 10-cent piece. Worth $320,000. So before you dismiss that old jar of coins, or overlook that dusty family album, take one more look. Because hidden in plain sight, among forgotten silver coins and old US currency, could be the rarest dime you'll ever lay eyes on, and if it's got that 1894 date, and that tiny S mark, well, my friend, you just found treasure. Today, we're unlocking the story behind one of the most surprising and mysterious coins ever struck by the United States Mint. It's a dime, yes, just 10 cents in face value, but not just any dime. We're talking about the 2005 Roosevelt silver dime with a mint mark, and this tiny coin has turned heads, made headlines, and stunned even the most seasoned numismatists. Now, you might be thinking, 2005? That's not even that long ago. You probably remember where you were, what you were doing. Maybe you were still in school, maybe you were building your career, or maybe, just maybe, you were spending pocket change without realizing that one of those dimes might someday be worth more than the car you were saving up for, because while billions of dimes are made each year, only a handful hold secrets. Only a few coins, thanks to minting anomalies, rare errors, and collector quirks, rise above the rest to become truly legendary. And today, we're going to reveal just how the 2005 Roosevelt dime became one of those coins. But first, let's go back and understand where this little coin came from. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, the year after President Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed away. He wasn't just a beloved president, he also played a major role in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign dedicated to fighting polio, a disease that personally affected him. To honor his legacy, the U.S. Mint placed his profile on the dime, a fitting tribute that turned the smallest coin in your pocket into a powerful symbol of courage, leadership, and service. From 1946 to the present day, the Roosevelt dime has gone through some changes, but its core design has stayed the same. On the obverse, you'll find Roosevelt's left-facing profile, the word Liberty boldly stamped, and the motto, In God We Trust. The year, 2005, is located just to the right of Roosevelt's neck, and beneath it, you'll find the mint mark, a small letter that holds a very big key to the coin's story. Now, let's talk about those mint marks. In 2005, Roosevelt dimes were produced in 3 primary locations: Philadelphia, using the P mint mark; Denver, using the D mint mark; San Francisco, using the S mint mark, but only for proof coins. Here's where things start to get really interesting. Most dimes minted for general circulation in 2005 were made of a copper-nickel clad composition. No silver dimes were meant to go into regular circulation that year. Silver coins were reserved strictly for proof sets sold to collectors, sealed in special cases, never meant to be used as everyday money. But occasionally, something unexpected happens. Once in a great while, the minting process goes sideways. Coins meant for proof sets end up in general circulation. Silver planchets intended for special issues are accidentally used in regular runs. Or dies used to stamp the coins might carry defects, doubling, misalignments, or date inconsistencies. And that's when things get exciting. There are reports, few, but explosive, of 2005 Roosevelt dimes made of silver, struck with regular mint marks, and somehow released into circulation. That means a coin that never should have entered the public's hands might have made its way into your pocket change, a vending machine, or a forgotten coin jar. How does this happen? Sometimes, a leftover silver blank from a proof run accidentally ends up in the wrong batch of coins. Or a coin intended for a special collector set is mishandled and sent out with regular coins. These kinds of minting anomalies are rare, but they do happen. And when they do, collectors go absolutely wild. Now, the 2005 silver Roosevelt dimes that appear to be errors, that is, coins struck on silver planchets and released into circulation with a P or D mint mark, are some of the most fascinating finds of modern numismatics. Why? Because they weren't supposed to exist. The U.S. Mint never authorized silver dimes for general use in 2005. And that makes these few stray examples extremely valuable, but silver content alone isn't enough to drive up the value. What matters even more? Condition, rarity, and mystery. Let's talk about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS 60 and above considered mint state, essentially, never used. A coin that has sharp details, no wear, no fingerprints or scratches, and looks like it just left the mint can fetch a massive premium. And now, imagine that coin is also made of silver, struck by mistake, and has a mint mark suggesting it came from a facility where no silver dimes were supposed to be made for circulation. You're holding not just a coin, you're holding a 1 in a million anomaly. A numismatic unicorn. There's more. Some rare 2005 Roosevelt dimes have surfaced showing double die errors, where the text or image appears slightly doubled due to a misaligned strike. Others show missing mint marks, clipped planchets, or were struck off-center. Combine any of those errors with a silver planchet in pristine condition, and you've got a recipe for an auction showstopper. And here's the kicker, many of these valuable dimes went unnoticed for years. Some sat in pockets. Others lived in old coin jars or circulated quietly in rolls. It wasn't until coin experts started weighing their dimes, literally placing them on a scale, that they noticed something was off. A standard clad dime weighs about 2.27 grams. A silver dime? Around 2.5 grams. That tiny difference was the first clue that something wasn't right. People who caught on began checking their coins. Some found oddities. A few found silver 2005 dimes. And for the lucky few who had one graded and verified by professionals like PCGS or NGC, the payoff was extraordinary. So now, you might be wondering, what if I have one of these coins? What if, tucked away in a forgotten collection or sealed in a plastic flip, there's a 2005 Roosevelt dime that's just a little heavier, just a little shinier, or just a little bit off in the most valuable way? Well, here's what you should do: weigh it. If it's over 2.27 grams, you might be onto something. Examine it under magnification. Look for unusual features, doubling, missing details, unusual edges. Look at the mint mark. If you see a P or D on a silver dime from 2005, that's your second red flag. In the best possible way, get it graded. Contact a trusted coin grading company. Have it authenticated. This step is crucial, because once verified, your coin transforms from curiosity to cash. Now, let's talk about value. We've seen modern coins explode in price thanks to the perfect storm of rarity, error, condition, and collector demand. Some coins that were never meant to exist have sold for tens, or even hundreds, of thousands of dollars, and this brings us to the climax of today's story. You've heard the history. You've learned the secrets. You now know how to identify a once-in-a-lifetime coin. So how much is one of these rare 2005 Roosevelt silver dimes, with a mint mark, in near-perfect condition, and verified by experts actually worth? Hold on to your seat, because one of these extraordinary silver dimes, minted in 2005, struck in error, and graded at top-tier quality, has sold for a jaw-dropping $350,000. Yes. You heard that right. A coin worth just 10 cents in the eyes of most, sold for $350,000. Today, because we're diving deep into a coin that may look ordinary, but hides a story that's anything but. In fact, This dime is turning heads in the numismatic world and shocking collectors everywhere. Yes, we're talking about the 1987 Roosevelt silver dime, and trust me, this tiny silver circle could be hiding one of the greatest secrets in your pocket change. Now don't let the year fool you. 1987 doesn't sound ancient, right? No Civil War, no westward expansion, no gold rush. It's relatively modern. You might even remember what you were doing in the 80s. Maybe you were blasting rock music on a cassette player, watching classic movies on VHS, or seeing the first home computers light up. But while most people were watching trends in fashion or music, something subtle, rare, and incredibly valuable slipped through the US Mint unnoticed. We're talking about a coin that shouldn't exist. A coin with a composition error, a minting mistake, or perhaps, a deliberate anomaly. The 1987 Roosevelt silver dime, struck with a mint mark, is one of the most mysterious and coveted pieces of modern US coinage. And it could still be sitting unnoticed in someone's change drawer, a forgotten jar, or an overlooked collection. Let's rewind for a second and understand the context. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. A beloved leader who guided the United States through the Great Depression and World War II, Roosevelt was also the founder of the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio, the disease that personally affected him. Fittingly, his image replaced the Mercury dime as a lasting tribute to his legacy. Since then, the design has barely changed. On the obverse, Roosevelt faces left, surrounded by the word liberty, the national motto, "In God We Trust," and the mint year, 1987, in this case. The reverse features a torch, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing peace and strength. Clean, symbolic, and unmistakably American, but here's where the mystery begins. In 1987, all standard dimes for general circulation were supposed to be struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means the outer layer was made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The silver had long been removed from circulating coins in the United States after 1964 due to rising metal costs. From 1965 onward, silver coins were restricted to proof or special collector's sets, and even then, only under very specific conditions. So, let's be clear, number 1987 silver dimes were ever intended to enter general circulation, but guess what? A few did. Somewhere, somehow, a silver dime slipped through the cracks at the US Mint. Whether by human error, a leftover silver planchet from a collector's set, or an accidental minting on incorrect metal, these silver 1987 dimes are the stuff of legend, and what makes them even more incredible. They carry a mint mark. In 1987, dimes were struck at 3 primary locations: Philadelphia, marked with a P, Denver, marked with a D, San Francisco, marked with an S, used mostly for proof coins. A standard 1987 dime from Denver or Philadelphia should weigh about 2.27 grams. But collectors have found certain dimes from that year that weigh closer to 2.5 grams, the same as the pre-1965 90% silver dimes. That's not a minor difference. That's not just a coincidence. That's a red flag, in the best way possible. So what exactly happened? Theories abound. Some experts believe a silver planchet meant for a commemorative coin accidentally made its way into the hopper during a routine run of Roosevelt dimes. Others suggest that proof coins meant to be struck with an S mint mark were mistakenly struck at Philadelphia or Denver and somehow released. And then, of course, there's the exciting possibility that a mint worker might have intentionally struck a few silver coins outside of official orders, a secret known only to the walls of the mint. Whatever the cause, the result is crystal clear: an ultra-rare 1987 silver Roosevelt dime with a mint mark, never meant to exist, did exist, and it sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world. Now, let's talk features to look for. You think you found one? Here's how to spot it. Wait, first, get a digital scale. If your 1987 dime weighs around 2.5 grams, you might be holding something very special. Color: silver dimes have a brighter, shinier appearance and lack the orange edge typical of copper-clad coins. Sound: silver coins produce a high-pitched ring when gently dropped on a hard surface. Copper-nickel coins have a duller sound. Mint mark: if you see a P or D on a silver dime from 1987, your heart should skip a beat, because that combination wasn't supposed to happen. Of course, none of this means anything without professional authentication. If you think you have one, do not clean it. That can dramatically lower the value. Keep it protected and contact a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will certify the coin's authenticity, metal content, and condition. And speaking of condition, let's talk about grading. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 60 or higher, mint state, is considered uncirculated and untouched. If your 1987 silver dime happens to be in mint state and has a rare mint mark, you're not just holding a collector's item, you're holding an investment. Combine rarity, silver content, mint mark, and pristine condition, and you've got a coin that can explode in value at auction. In fact, collectors are always watching online listings, estate sales, and auctions, hoping to spot one of these unicorn coins before the rest of the world catches on. Stories have surfaced of 1987 silver dimes found in pocket change, in dusty coin albums, or even rolled up in bank coin sleeves. It's rare, but not impossible. And that's the thrill of coin hunting. So how rare are they? Numismatic records indicate that only a handful of verified 1987 silver dimes have ever been certified with a mint mark. That makes them ultra-scarce modern rarities. And unlike coins from the 1800s, these aren't sitting in museums. They're out there. Somewhere. Waiting. Now imagine this. You walk into a flea market. Someone's selling a jar of old coins for $5. You bring it home, sort through it, and boom, you see that gleaming 1987 dime, a little too shiny, a little too heavy. You check the mint mark. You check the weight. 2.5 grams. You get it graded. You don't just have a story. You have a windfall. And now, the moment you've been patiently waiting for, the answer to the ultimate question: how much is a 1987 Roosevelt silver dime with a mint mark worth today if it's authentic, certified, and in high-grade condition? Drumroll. One of these rare coins, this modern miracle of metal, mystery, and misprint, has sold for a jaw-dropping $240,000. Yes. You heard that right. A coin you could mistake for spare change could be worth $240,000. So the next time you find a dime on the ground, don't walk past it. Pick it up. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Give it a closer look, because hidden in that little silver disc might just be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Today, we're about to unlock a truly extraordinary story hidden inside a coin so small you could pass it off as pocket change, but so rare, it could transform your life in ways you never imagined. This isn't just a coin, it's a puzzle, a relic, and potentially, a payday of legendary proportions. You might want to grab your magnifying glass for this one. We're diving into the captivating and mysterious world of the 1981 Roosevelt silver one dime, a coin that should not exist, but does. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this unassuming little coin is causing such a massive stir among collectors. And trust me, you're going to want to check your old change jar after hearing this story. Let's begin with the basics, and then we'll go deep. The Roosevelt dime is one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Introduced in 1946, it was meant to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the year before. He was not just a wartime president, he was a polio survivor and the driving force behind the March of Dimes, an organization that helped eradicate the disease in the United States. The U.S. Mint chose to honor his legacy by placing his portrait on the smallest circulating coin, the dime. Since then, billions of Roosevelt dimes have been struck. Most are common, worth only their face value, and passed through countless hands every single day. But as any seasoned numismatist knows, not all dimes are created equal. Some are worth far, far more. And the 1981 silver Roosevelt dime with a mint mark is one of the most elusive and valuable of all. Let's rewind for a moment and look at what the U.S. Mint was doing in 1981. By this time, the Mint had fully phased out silver from circulating coins. In fact, 1964 was the last year dimes, quarters, and half dollars were made with 90% silver for general use. From 1965 onward, standard issue coins were made using a copper-nickel clad composition. That means a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel. These modern coins have no intrinsic metal value, they're designed for function, not form. However, the U.S. Mint still produce special silver coins, but only for limited purposes, proof sets, collector's editions, or commemorative releases. These coins were never meant to enter circulation, and yet, in 1981, something strange happened. A handful of Roosevelt dimes dated 1981 began surfacing, heavier than normal, shinier than expected, and carrying mint marks that added to the mystery. Upon further investigation, numismatists and grading services discovered that these dimes were actually struck on 90% silver planchets, even though no silver dimes were supposed to be produced for general use that year. So how could this have happened? Well, there are a few theories. One of the most likely scenarios is what collectors call a planchet error. That's when a blank intended for a different coin, or a previous year's collector's set, accidentally ends up in the wrong bin at the mint and is struck with the current year's die. In this case, that would mean a leftover silver blank somehow made its way into a 1981 Roosevelt dime production line. Another theory is that a proof or special mint set silver planchet, intended for a San Francisco Mint collector coin, found its way into the Philadelphia or Denver facility and was struck with a P or D mint mark. That's when alarm bells started ringing in the coin world. Imagine this. A silver dime from a year when no silver dimes were supposed to exist. Not only that, but it has a mint mark indicating it came from a facility that wasn't even striking silver coins that year. That's the kind of mistake that slips past the most rigorous quality control checks, and becomes a once-in-a-lifetime collector's dream. Now, here's what you need to know about identifying one of these rare coins. First, weight is key. A standard clad dime weighs 2.27 grams. A silver dime, on the other hand, weighs 2.5 grams. That tiny difference is massive in the world of numismatics. If you suspect you've got something rare, a digital scale could be your best friend. Second, sound and appearance. Silver coins have a distinct, high-pitched ring when dropped gently on a hard surface. They also have a brighter, more luminous shine compared to copper-nickel dimes, and they lack the orange-colored edge that clad coins show when viewed from the side. Third, the mint mark. In 1981, the U.S. Mint produced dimes at Philadelphia, marked with a P, Denver, marked with a D, San Francisco, marked with an S, used mostly for proof coins. If you discover a silver-looking 1981 dime with a P or D mint mark, that's your cue to pay serious attention. Because that combination shouldn't exist. No silver coins were intended to be struck at those mints for general use in 1981. That's what makes this coin so incredibly fascinating and valuable. Even beyond the anomaly of the silver composition, collectors have identified additional errors on some of these 1981 dimes. There are reports of double die obverse, where the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," appear slightly doubled off-center strikes, where part of the coin's design is missing die cracks or planchet flaws, which increase both interest and value. But nothing makes a coin skyrocket in worth more than rarity combined with pristine condition. If a 1981 Roosevelt silver dime was struck in error and somehow avoided circulation, meaning it remained untouched, unhandled, and unscathed, it could be graded as MS 65 or higher, making it a true numismatic trophy. Once such coins are graded and authenticated by a reputable service like NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, or PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, they're placed into secure plastic slabs and often sold at top-tier auctions where serious collectors are ready to bid big. Let's stop for a moment and imagine the scene. You're flipping through an old coin album from your childhood. Or maybe you're helping a grandparent clean out an attic. You come across a shiny dime dated 1981. It looks different. It feels heavier. You examine it, and your gut tells you something's off. In a good way. You weigh it, 2.5 grams, you check the edge, no orange ring, just solid silver. You spot the mint mark, D. Your hands are shaking now, and for good reason, because what you might be holding isn't just a coin. It's a key. A key that unlocks history, rarity, and a staggering market value. So, How much could this rare 1981 Roosevelt silver dime with a mint mark be worth today? Let's get real. When you combine a rare error, silver content, a mint mark anomaly, and near-perfect condition, you get a coin that collectors will go to extreme lengths to acquire. These aren't casual purchases. These are headline-worthy discoveries that get featured in coin magazines, news outlets, and collector forums around the world. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for. The answer to the question that's been echoing through your mind since the start of this video. Point 1. Verified, graded, and authenticated 1981 Roosevelt silver dime with a mint mark, a coin that should not exist, has sold for a jaw-dropping $220,000. That's right. $220,000. All from a single dime. So don't underestimate the change rattling around in your drawer. That dime you almost gave to a vending machine could be a life-changing discovery. The next time you come across a 1981 Roosevelt dime, take a closer look. Weigh it. Examine the edge. Look for that mysterious mint mark. Because you never know, you just might be holding one of the rarest and most valuable dimes ever struck. If this story amazed you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and tap that notification bell. We've got more stories, more mysteries, and more hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, keep searching, stay curious, and happy collecting.